Hi, this is Maryland Comptroller Peter Francho. I may not listen to every podcast out there, but I do listen to the Maryland Crabs.
Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs Podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Frenay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Frenay.
Hey, it's the Maryland Crabs. We're back here again for our regular Thursday episode because we haven't missed one damn episode in 120 some odd, right?
Nope, we haven't missed one.
You know, what are we, 123 or 122 now?
123.
Very cool.
Yeah, we haven't missed one.
How about that? Last weekend's episode with
Ignite.
I'm excited for that. I'm toying with the idea of possibly doing it myself.
Me too. I'm actually thinking about that. I'm not just saying that, but I'm thinking, could I do something funny, something serious? I don't know.
Alex Klein mentioned that he said he was thinking about doing it too. And he says, yeah, but will they be all ready for some geeky kind of spacey stuff?
Like biking?
And I'm like, talk about being a mammal. And he's like, oh, I never thought of that. So he might go in with a biking thing.
Talking about how they can run red lights and all that. Hey, nice Christmas decorations, by the way.
Thank you. I've worked
by
hard
that,
on that.
I mean there are none.
I've worked hard on that. I don't get into Christmas. I don't know what it is. It's just I haven't for a while. So
it's a little dismal in this house.
I'll draw a doodle on my notepad here. It'll be a Christmas tree and a wreath.
Yeah,
I will put
miracle.
a wreath up. My daughter's coming back tomorrow, so she'll put something up.
Well, it's not like coming back home for the holidays where she's just nestled in just all this warmth and celebratory decorations.
Well, she was already here, and then she went back into D.C. to see her boyfriend. Now she's back again, so she can decorate.
Well, someone's got to do something.
Yeah,
because I'm feeling a little down right now.
But the Ignite thing, I'm happy about. I'm also happy about Midnight Madness happening tonight.
I love Midnight Madness, and I couldn't do it last week because my daughter's got so much homework that we're spending like 3 hours a day. I
don't know. I'm all tired of listening to you whine about your daughter's homework.
They're not. And that's the nice thing about doing this podcast with an audience. So my plan is to go tonight. So I want to do that because I really had a blast with it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good crowd last week. And it goes, and that's actually a misnomer. It's not Midnight Madness. It used to be called 11th Hour, but now they're just calling it 3 Midnight Madnesses. But the stores all close at 11. So if you're planning to do your shopping between 11 and 12, don't.
What was that thing in West Annapolis they did last night or a couple nights ago?
West Annapolis has never done an evening thing.
No, but wasn't it an evening thing?
No, Frederick Depew at Flamont last weekend had a European Christmas village set up adjacent to the restaurant. It was really, really very, very cool, except that it rained like hell all weekend.
Oh.
But no, I mean, it really didn't impact it too badly. I mean, it was great. And actually, West Annapolis is really coming into their own now. They're having the Miracle on Annapolis Street on December 30th. And that's the Budweiser Clydesdales that came into West Street last year in front of the Rams Head after the Military Bowl. They're coming into West Annapolis the day before the Military Bowl, and you can get up close and personal with the Clydesdales. They'll have beer, they'll have food trucks, they'll have vendors, they'll have heaters, they'll have heated tents, music, and everything else. It's going to be
Vortex is coming in too, like it did last year.
Yeah, it's going to be a real celebratory day. It's free for everything except for parking. You got to probably go to the stadium and pay $5 to park. Take your chances at growls. They may tow you.
Yeah, maybe.
But there are a couple places. But I love West Annapolis. I mean, Evelyn's, the restaurant there, which used to be Regina's, real good, real solid, good place for breakfast.
My son was supposed to march in the Military Bowl this year because his PAL football team was undefeated and they won the county championship with Coach Pettibone and all.
You said he was supposed to march?
He was supposed to, but we're going to be away for New Year's Eve, so we're not going to be here. So his whole team is getting the emails now, and everyone's all revved to do this, and he just lit up like a candle, and I had to say we're not going to be here.
You are a shitty father.
Well, not just for that, but yeah. But he'll be there in spirit, and by the spirit, I mean he won't be there.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's get right into it today. We have sort of a split episode, but it's all on the same topic. And for those that aren't aware, at the end of October, by we, I mean the state, launched a new Chesapeake Bay plate. And they basically gave Joe Barson the boot. No, they didn't. Joe Barson was the one who designed
the original.
Not the original one, but the second one, the one that's most popular out there now with the heron, and there's a little tiny crab there. The Chesapeake Bay Trust decided they needed to switch it up a little bit, and they put it out for, I don't want to say bids again, but proposals.
Yeah.
And they've got a new plate out. We talked with the designer, Tina Cardozi, who came up with a really, really good design, I think. And the kind of neat thing about it now is that the technology's advanced since when Joe initially did it, that they can do full color as opposed to
spot color.
Yeah, spot color. So it's really a very vibrant plate. I
like it.
I do. I got mine pretty much the first day it was available because I happened to be going past the MBA and said, oh yeah, I want to get one of those. And I had the Maryland flag plate, which I didn't. In print, it looks very good, but when you see it on metal in a car, it doesn't look real good, I never thought. But we talked to Tina about the process of, how the plate was made, how she designed it, where it all came from, how the jails actually made them. And then we popped over in to speak with Jana Davis, who's been on the podcast before, talking about the Chesapeake Bay Trust, and found out exactly how the plate really worked into their whole plans. And I didn't realize it was quite as big of a deal as it was for them. But it was really a complicated process. It was pretty interesting, and sort of up to speed on what the Bay Trust is doing.
And we actually spoke to her, like a year and a half ago, Jana Davis over at Chesapeake Bay Trust. And so you want to go back and listen to that episode because that was really interesting to find out what they do.
Yeah. If I think about it, I'll try to put that link in the show note if you want.
It's not too much trouble.
Yeah, I can try that. But yeah, let's get into it. We're going to talk first with Tina Cardozi, and she's with TM Design out of Frederick, who designed the plate. And then we're going to talk with Jana Davis, Dr. Jana Davis, who is the executive director for the Chesapeake Bay Trust.
From Main Street to Maryland Avenue, West Street to Ego Alley, and the circles in between. Shop local this holiday season by shopping at Midnight Madness in historic downtown Annapolis, with all stores open until midnight this Thursday. Post a selfie from Snowflake Alley, sip cocoa on City Dock, visit the baby alpacas, and on every street corner, enjoy dancers, carolers, and music. It's Midnight Madness. Visit DowntownAnnapolisPartnership.org. Midnight Madness is sponsored by the Downtown Annapolis Partnership, Sheehy Lexus of Annapolis, and WRNR.
When a ring from the United States Naval Academy comes into Zachary's for a center stone, it always makes us wonder, where's this one going? Where's this one been? A nuclear sub in the North Atlantic? A carrier deck in the South Pacific? The moon? 52 astronauts are Academy graduates, from Iwo Jima to Okinawa, Corregidor to the Coral Sea, Midway to the Persian Gulf, Congress to the White House. These rings go where America goes. 73 that went to war were awarded the Medal of Honor. But wherever they go, wherever they may serve, our admiration goes with them.
Zachary's. Online at zacharysjewelers.com. More than a jewelry store, a jeweler.
Well, joining us today is Tina Cardozi, who is are you the president, or are you the chief cook and bottle washer, or what is your role at TM Design?
Well, let's see. I guess it depends on which hat I'm wearing. President, owner, designer, sometimes, medial worker. Just a little bit of everything. So depends on what's going on.
That luxurious life of a small business owner.
Exactly, yes.
Well, TM Design, which is not necessarily a familiar name to everybody that's listening to us, or it may be, is a graphic design firm out of the Frederick area.
Correct, yes.
Okay, and for those that don't know of TM Design, you will get to know TM Design very quickly within the next 7 or 8 years if you are anywhere on any Maryland roads, because you are the brainchild behind the new Chesapeake Bay Trust Bay Plate.
We are. It's very exciting.
I think it is. It's such a great design. And before we started to record this, I mentioned that I was one of the first ones to get it. I went into the MBA on the 31st of October to get it because I was just actually heading out, and that was a perfect time to get it. And I love the design on it. And if people haven't seen it, go take a look at it. We've got them in Annapolis. We've got them all over the place. And get a Bay Plate because it does a lot of good. And we'll be talking to Jana Davis with the Bay Trust a little bit later on. And she's going to tell us exactly what it does and how you can do good. But what I'd like to know is, how'd you get roped into this?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'll try to fill in the blanks there. Out of the blue, last year, we got an RFP, a request for proposals for the Chesapeake Bay Plate. We had never worked with Chesapeake Bay Trust before, so we were like, oh, well, this is an awesome, opportunity here. So let's go through the proposal process. And in the proposal, they asked, to pitch designs. Normally, we do not pitch designs at the proposal phase at all. It's kind of like giving ideas for free.
Sure.
But we thought it would be a great opportunity, so we did some thumbnail sketches. So we had initial concepts and everything, and we just give them, had some basic ideas in there. And I'm not sure the exact number of firms that were in that initial phase 1 portion. I want to say it was 12 or 13. I'm not sure. Jana can clarify that. So we went into the phase 1, and then they chose, I think, 5 firms based on that, and we tightened all of our designs and created, full color ones. We were hired at that point, like I think 3 or 4 or 5 firms, and they took those designs and went to focus groups. So that's kind of how it went through, and then based on the focus groups, I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit here, but I'm kind of giving you the basic process, and then you can ask any questions you want about the process. But from there, the focus groups were people from Maryland, from different counties, different walks of life, putting their 2 cents in about the different designs and everything and kind of whittling it down. And our plate was chosen from there, and then we took, it was one of the plates was chosen from there, I should say, was one of the top ones, the one we have here. It's kind of like a little bit of a variation of it, because it originally started out, there were fish in there was a lighthouse, there were all kinds of different things, a little variant, but we always had this underwater concept that was in my head. So that's how it went from there. And then once we went through the phase 1 focus groups, we were actually the firm that was hired to continue through phase 2 and more focus groups. So there's been a lot of input from people in Maryland to get their ideas, and they're the ones that really wanted the Bay Bridge added.
Really? So this started out as I'm going to say a concept with you as opposed to a design, and then through the focus groups,
Correct.
It sort of gelled its way to where it is.
Correct. Now, we did have other designs as well that we were pitching in, but one of the main ones that I had in my head was this underwater idea, because I really wanted people to resonate with, the actual nature and underwater concept of feeling almost like you're there, as opposed to just, you're kind of taking a step back and there it is, and plus the realistic style of illustration.
Well, the way it looks, for those that haven't seen it yet, it's almost, I'm going to say the bottom third, and I'm sure my dimensions are off, are essentially underwater. So it's almost like you've got a camera that's under the water and looking on top. And on top, you've got the Bay Bridge, you've got the beautiful blue sky and some clouds. And underneath, you've got bay grass, you've got Chesapeake Bay blue crab, of course. And, just the water and how we're all tied into the bay. And I think that's just really sort of fascinating that you were able to take sort of that split focused or split screen type of a design on that.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. It was just really neat, and just to see how it's progressed through there and just getting feedback from different Marylanders on that and their likes and dislikes, and a little bit larger crab, or they want more of this, or the sky darker, the sky lighter, or more clouds, or, they just, had differing opinions. And that's how the Bay Bridge came into play, to adding that on there, and it really added a whole new dimension to the plate.
It really did. Well, thank God nobody said, hey, we need more of that Fort McHenry and that ugly red, white, and blue blue thing that Governor O'Malley wanted to have in there. I mean, granted,
there were some suggestions that we were not going to put on the plate. We took the suggestions that were like more of a majority suggestion, as opposed to there were some interesting suggestions as well. So
the cost of the plate actually is $20 for those that are listening, for a one-time fee, and then when you renew it, it's an additional $10, and 100% of that does go in, as Tina had said, through the Chesapeake Bay Trust. And the Chesapeake Bay Trust is a granting organization, I think is the term that they used, but they don't have the money there. They turn around and they find if it's a homeowners association that's looking to do some type of shoreline restoration to shore up the bay a little bit, or to clean up the watershed, or maybe. So it really is money that flows through them into these organizations, which can be, a Boy Scout troop that are doing something good to save the bay. And I think it's just a real great organization. These people really throw the money right out into the bay, if you will, and does good. It's really sort of boots in the water type of a thing there. So do you, in your office, do you have like 3 or 4 of your mock-ups that didn't make it? It's sort of like the losing team in the Super Bowl T-shirts that...
Well, this was our favorite out of all of them, so we were thrilled when they picked it. We do have, we don't have them printed up hanging on the wall like with a second place ribbon hanging on of them or anything, but we do have them, we always back up everything, so we have all of those files as well, and we did use different styles of illustrations on several different plates because we wanted to test to see, do people really want the realistic illustration, and we had this version of the realistic illustration. We also did a blue heron in the realistic illustration style, but we also did, another style of illustration that was a little more similar to the previous plate, because you want to make sure that people in Maryland are happy with what it is. It's not just about us, or not just about the Chesapeake Bay Trace. It's about the trust. It's about the general public and what everybody really would like and what they would like to put on their car and be proud of in order to support the Chesapeake Bay.
How has it been? Have you heard any feedback on how the plate has been received? Everyone I've seen, I haven't seen that many of them out because people aren't necessarily renewing their cars immediately in the last only 2 months that it's been out there.
Right.
I'm seeing more and more every day, and I know people that stop me go like, "Oh, I thought you were from Maryland." And I'm like, "Why?" "Oh, you got a different plate." And I'm like,
it's not recognizable yet because it's not, not as many people have it.
This is the new Chesapeake Bay plate.
I catch people staring at my plate. It's funny. I catch people staring at my plate because I think they're trying to go, what state is that from? And, they're trying to look at it and everything. From what I understand, Chesapeake Bay Trust received some statistics from the MVA from the October, but there's not really a lot because, it came out in late October. They hadn't received the November statistics, but I know the big difference is for this plate is compared to the previous one, to Joe's plate, is when theirs came out, there was a plain Maryland plate. It was just black letters. There wasn't any design to it. And they didn't have the ag plate either, the one with the barn.
That's the ugly yellow one with the barn.
Yeah. So suddenly, Joe's plate comes out, and it's something completely different than anybody can get, So he was put in a great position that people were going to go, just love it because it's something different, too. We have a lot more competition with this one. So, you have the new Maryland plate with the flag at the bottom,
right,
and then you have the ag plate. So, and then there's all these varying other little modifications of plates. I think, like a fire department one, and I believe
sure,
there might be an Eastern Shore one. They don't have design really a huge amount to them, but there is some competition. So this isn't the newest plate that came out. That's the only one with a real design on it. So.
Well, another thing that's really kind of cool about this one, and I don't know whether it's just because the way you designed it or maybe it's technology, but this is I'll use a graphic term, I think, 4-color process. Does that make sense? This is full color. This is not your black and white. I know the really ugly Fort McHenry one was, red, white, and blue. It was, 3 white plate with red and blue. 3, and even the old Bay plate was very limited in colors.
Yeah, they were using spot colors, and that was one of my first questions when we were hired. I said, can we do process, on this? Can we do full color? Because my idea is to have this full color illustration. It can't be like broken down in 2 or 3 colors or anything. They actually had to check, and we found out that they were capable of doing it. So that opened up a whole new world that they didn't have 14 years ago. Yeah,
I guess so. Now have you seen how these are printed? Have you gone to the printing?
We did. It was at the jail, so it was very.
That's
cool.
not a misnomer. They do produce them in jails.
It was in Jessup. Yes, we went there. We were able to go and see these, these printed. And the gentleman that worked there worked so hard. It amazed me how this was printed and their dedication and hard work at getting all of this done. And it's Maryland Correctional Enterprises. I'm not quite sure exactly. You could talk to Jana more of the specifics about everything, but they were huge. They helped with color corrections and making sure the plate was running properly and organizing the whole thing. And it was really great working with all of them. It was a good team effort for, not just me, but everybody putting in to make this plate the best it could possibly be. But it was neat seeing the way they do it. They actually hand pull the letters out and put them in, like each single one, so it stamps onto the plate. I was amazed by that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and I imagine that you probably had to adjust your design a little bit for the letters and numbers that go on the plate, because you couldn't have I'm going to say something. I think the letters are black, right, or dark.
The letters
color.
are black. They're black. Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't have a Black Bay Bridge obscuring the numbers, or vice versa.
And we actually had to lighten. We had to lighten the variance between the skyline and the water, because this actually had to run through police officials. They ran it through to make sure that things could scan properly and it could go through the speed traps and all that kind of stuff. So we actually had to tone down because we had a little more contrast between the sky and the water originally, and we had to blend it a little better because they did not want that contrast behind the numbers and letters. It's been over a year-long process. It was a long process to get this done. I don't think people realize how much goes into producing something like this.
I imagine, as we're talking, that it's quite complex. This is not something that you saw an ad on Craigslist and said, "Oh, hey, look, they're having a contest to design. Here's my plate, and we like this one. Let's print it up." It's pretty amazing that it is. Are there any Easter eggs in the design?
No, we didn't. We were like, so we just wanted to make sure this would pass. First we had to have Chesapeake Bay be okay with it. We had to have focus groups. We went through many iterations with the focus group to make sure it was tweaked and things were right based on their feedback. Multiple focus groups in different counties. And then we had to get MVA clearance. We had to get police clearance. It had to run through Maryland Correctional Enterprises to make sure, that things were, the files were submitted right and it was printing right, and then they would test print and adjust colors, and it definitely was a process, and it was a huge team effort. Many, many individuals to get this plate finalized.
Well, I don't know how good the MVA is. We've got a local car around here with, I can't remember what plate it has, but if you write it down and look at it like in a mirror, you might see what it says, but it's 370H55A. And I see it around town a bunch of times. I'm like, how did that ever get past the MVA? Because if you see it coming up behind you with a front license plate, you know exactly what it says. But give people some credit there. But
right.
What does TM Design do? I'm assuming that you're not in the license plate design business.
No, this was actually our first license plate. So if anybody outside of Maryland is listening, feel free to come to us. If any other state wants a license plate design.
I hear Florida needs one. They only have one.
Right. Yeah, they have about 1 million from what I hear. So we do many things. We do annual reports, logos, brand identities, website, brochures, exhibit booths, vehicle wraps, any kind of print design, pretty much you can name it, magazines, newsletters, that kind of thing, promotional products, all of that kind of stuff.
Very cool. How long have you been in business?
Since 1995.
Wow. So you guys have made it. You guys have made it. Most businesses, they say fail within 5 years, I think is the common myth.
Yes, I've been very blessed with, I think about the thread of how I've come across a lot of clients. And a lot of my clients, some of my clients I have known since late 90s. They're still with us. They might not still be at the same organization, but they carry us with them from one organization to the next. And then, people pass on our names. We've rarely ever done any kind of, we haven't done any advertising or anything like that. It's been through word of mouth and referral for the most part. And we've been extremely blessed with great clients, really great people to work with, and and the referrals that come to us. So, and I think that's all by we try to treat our clients like they're our only clients, so they don't feel like they're just shoved off to the side because maybe a bigger client comes. So we have, small mom and pop clients that are treated the same way as a large organization.
Where can we get more information about TM Design?
Sure.
And if anybody has, any design needs, absolutely give Tina Cardosi a call, the chief cook, bottle washer, owner, founder, president of TM Design. Do you have the website?
We do. tmdesigninc.com. It's T as in Tina, M as in Mary, designinc.com, or you can just give us a call, 301-831-1114.
What's the M stand for in TM?
That's my maiden name, so I started it before I was married. My maiden name's McCullough.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
I didn't know whether there was a partner there, whether there was an M partner or a middle initial or something like that.
No, that was me before I got married and had kids. So.
Have you always been up in Frederick area?
Originally started in Germantown.
Okay. So
then, kind of moved out a little bit. So, grew up in Montgomery County.
And where did you get your background in graphic design? Is this just something that came naturally to you, or did you go to school for it, or?
Believe it or not, I'm one of those people that actually graduated with a degree and used it. That's very few and far between.
Not me.
I graduated from University of Maryland with a degree in graphic design.
Fantastic. So you knew going in that this is something that you wanted to pursue? And
not going into college, I actually changed my major 3 times. So for those of you out there that feel like you don't know what you want to do, I actually started out pre-vet, then I went to business, then I ended up in graphic design. So it took me a little while to figure out what I was doing, but I finally got it, and I love it. So.
Well, that's fantastic. And I will say, congratulations, because this is a big coup. And I mean, this is a plate design that, and I don't believe there's any type of a time frame on it. I mean, it's not like this is what they're going to be issuing for the next 4 years or 5 years or whatever. And I think the impetus behind doing this again, I think that Jana told me one time, was that the Maryland flag plate tended to be a little bit more attractive than the ugly War of 1812 plates they had. And when the attractive Maryland plate came out, people were like, oh, that's kind of a nice looking plate. It's not real boring or anything like that. So their sales dropped on that. And this is a way to pick it up. It's refreshed it, and it can be here for years and years and years. And I can't encourage anybody enough. I mean, $20, I don't want to say it is nothing, but I mean, every $20 really helps to help the Bay. And it's only an additional $10 a year when you go to renew it. And it's a real convenient, easy way to help the Bay out. And also to see Tina's great artwork tooling around behind your car.
I can tell you from experience, my son actually went on a field trip that was a grant from the Chesapeake Bay Trust, and it was the coolest field trip. They got to go out on the Chesapeake Bay in an oyster boat. They got to test the salinity of the water. They identified different species of fish. They dredged the bottom and pulled up oysters, and when they were to look at those, it was such a learning experience, and I think just environmental education helps in and of itself. You're raising another generation to help protect the Chesapeake.
Well, we certainly do, and the Chesapeake Bay is a gem that we have. I think it's the second largest inland bay in the world. I think beside the Bay of Bengal, or it's either the first or the second one. But it's just something that we do need to protect. We do need to do more. And with the Chesapeake Bay plate, this is one way that many people can help. I know I was just looking at the number of licensed drivers. This statistic came across my desk earlier today. There's 4.5 million licensed drivers in Maryland. Not all of them obviously have cars, but there is great potential there to do a whole lot of great good with the Bay and to get Tina's design like rolling around the state.
Yes.
But again,
go out and get your plate today. You can do it just sitting, at your desk and log in and order it online and have it delivered to you.
Yep, you can get it at Chesapeake Bay Trust website. You can get it at the MBA's website. You can go into the MBA and pick it up. I think bayplate.org might even be a website that you can go to order that as well.
There's a website, too, that you can actually look at. I can't remember which one it is. Jana knows that they set up. You can actually pick the color bumper you have and place the bay plate on it to see what it looks like on your bumper.
Oh, it looks good on any bumper.
Yeah, it looks good awesome on any bumper, but some people like to actually put it there and see what it looks like, which is kind of cool, the technology that you can do that.
I've got a white car, and it looks really good on the back. What color is your car? You look like a black person.
Mine is charcoal gray, and it looks awesome on that as well.
Okay, because I remember meeting you briefly at the unveiling, and you looked like you would be like a dark-colored car woman. If I had to stereotype somebody, that's... but
I'm a dark color car kind of gal.
Well, you are. You had on like a black leather jacket, right?
Yes, I can't believe you remembered that.
Yeah, and I mean you had the short dark hair.
Actually, it's longer, but that's okay.
Okay,
we'll let you slide. I'm just impressed you remembered
you look
black leather jacket. Yeah.
No, you looked like you're in a dark colored car. That's just my own little stereotypical view of the world.
There you go. Yeah, we tend to be like the silver, charcoal, gray car kind of people.
Well,
my husband has a theory that it doesn't show dirt as much.
Tina Cardosi, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Congratulations on a incredible design. Take a look at it. I mean, you're not going to see too many of them right away, but they're gradually getting more and more popular. Look at the design, and there's a lot of stuff in that you crammed in that little, I don't even know what the dimensions are, like 6 by 12 or something like that?
Yeah, yes, we did. And to make room for everything, it was interesting, and make it visible from when you're driving a car. So,
Tina, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations. And we're going to hop on over and we're going to talk to Jana Davis, who's the executive director for the Chesapeake Bay Trust. And we're going to find out exactly what this Bay Plate does for the trust in just a few minutes.
Whether it's Main Street, your street, or any street in the county that we all live in and love and call Anne Arundel, it's a special place. But part of living here is having a bank that provides what you need when you need it. So when your plans and dreams call for a bank, turn to us, your neighbor. We're Severn Bank, supporting the community that supports us. I'm Alan Hyatt, chairman of Severn Bank, and it's our honor to be the bank that serves the people of Anne Arundel County. One thing that we never forget is that as a member of this community, it's our responsibility to be committed to helping you and our county thrive. Like you, we live here, we work here, and we play here. Severn Bank, we're here with you.
Online at severnbank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Severn Bank is a trade name used by Severn Savings Bank.
Very few things in life are so precious and so irreplaceable that we all must do our part to protect them. The Chesapeake Bay is one of those things. You can do your part by contributing to the Chesapeake Bay and Endangered Species Fund. It's that little line item you'll see at the very end of your Maryland tax return. Any amount you give makes a difference, and it's tax deductible. I'm Peter Francho, Maryland Comptroller. Our bay and rivers thank you. Learn more about the Chesapeake Bay Trust at cbtrust.org.
Well, here we are with Jana Davis, who is the executive director of the soon-to-be-moving Chesapeake Bay Trust. And we're in her office up on the 4th floor on West Street. And I just learned that you're moving over to Eastport.
We are.
That's exciting. Puts you right in the heart of a little bit closer to the Chesapeake Bay than West Street, I guess.
It does.
But you're not as convenient to 49 West and some of the restaurants, but you've got some good stuff there. Have you been to Bread and Butter Kitchen?
Yeah, love that place. Yep.
Okay. That's probably one of the only reasons that you need to move over there.
That's going to be our new hangout.
But we had a great talk with Tina Cardosi, who was the designer behind the newest Bay Plate, which I love. I think it's a great design. I think it's. I was really excited when we saw you unveiled it back in early October, and it's how she came up with the design, and she talked about the process of getting it through and having the prison in Jessup actually creating these, and the hassles with the police to make sure they'll be able to read by the sneaky cameras that want to give you tickets and everything else.
I have a lot of respect for all the law enforcement folks we worked with. I understand they have their perspective.
Without a doubt,
yeah.
Without a doubt. But the Bay Plate has been around. This is we were trying to think. This is the third or the fourth iteration.
Third design.
Okay, and the Bay Plate to me is a no-brainer. It's a one-shot deal of $20 to get the plate, and you can do that midterm of what you can do it whenever you want. Yep. It'll cost you $20 to do it. Yep. And then when you renew your plate, which is a 2-year thing, I think it is in the state of Maryland, it's an extra $10. So that $20 or $30 or $20 or $10 goes right to the Chesapeake Bay Trust, to the programs that you guys help to fund.
Yes.
We all love the Bay. We all realize how important it is to our way of life, our ecosystem, our enjoyment, our environment, and everything else. All of us don't have thousands of dollars to contribute to this charity or that charity or to even the Chesapeake Bay Trust. But boy, just a real quick, register your car, which we all need to do if we have a car, is a real easy way to do it.
I agree. Again, as you mentioned, people don't have a lot to give. Times are tough for a lot of people, but it's so important, I think, if you want to give, to do it this way for no other reason than it's an advertisement to everybody around you who's driving around in front of you or behind you that you support the Chesapeake, and so can they. So in addition to the $20, you're advertising the plate, which is great. And
it's a very good looking plate. It does look very good on your car. And I know you've got a section of the website where you can actually put in your car make and model and color.
Yes.
And see what a fake license plate looks like on the back of it.
Right. It's a fun site called bayplateme.com. And so you can choose the color of your car and the general style of your car and kind of test it out.
I'm excited as I drive around, and I'll say in the last month I'm starting to see more and more and more of them. Probably the first 3 weeks of owning it, I didn't see any. I was like the only one. I felt like really special for a little bit.
It does take a while for cars to turn over, the plates to turn over, and as people re-register cars or buy new cars. So,
what does the money go to? I mean, obviously it comes to you.
Yeah,
and
we always say it goes through the Chesapeake Bay Trust. And so we fund 3 different types of activities we fund a lot of teachers to get their kids outdoors on field trips. So a lot of K through 12 environmental education. And about 60,000 students a year go through programs that are funded through the Bay Plate, which is a lot of kids. And so if you think about over a 10-year period of time, that's pretty much all of the K through 12 students in Maryland. So if you have a son or daughter in K through 12 age, or grandchildren or neighbors or whatever, there's a good chance that if that child has taken an outdoor field trip, that it's been funded through the Bay Plate. So it's really important. And the average cost to get a student outdoors is about $23. So it's about the cost of a Bay Plate. And that experience of getting outdoors, I personally, and I feel this way, and it's supported by the science, that getting a kid out of the classroom in a situation where he or she gets his hands and feet dirty and wet, and really kind of immersing in the outdoors, it's so good, not just for their education, not just for them retaining the information that they're taught outdoors, but for their physical health, their mental health. And so I think it's so important to get kids outdoors. And $20 to get a Bay Plate is about the cost of giving that kid a life-changing experience.
And I mean, some of the stuff that they do is, it really ties in. I mean, I can sit here and lecture and draw on the chalkboard. I guess they don't have chalkboards anymore, but the concepts and talk about salinity of the bay and how that works, and how the turgidity, I believe, which is how murky it is.
Yep.
I'm talking to a scientist here, so I know. So I'm looking for you to throw me a bone here and help me out.
Yep.
But to be able to get out there and actually sail in the bay, to see and actually
what's living in it, right?
Feel and touch it. And there's so many children that are here in Annapolis that have yet, blows my mind, to see the Chesapeake Bay.
Yep.
Much less.
It sounds corny, but when you see a kid, because sometimes we go on these field trips just to see what the teachers are doing with the funds from the Bay Plate that go towards their projects. When you see a kid who has never been to the Bay before and has literally never touched his or her foot in the water, and you see the look on that kid's face, it blows your mind. It really does.
It does. And you look at how, they always say that Maryland is like sort of America in miniature, but out west we've got the mountains, and then we've got some sort of plain, and then we've got the bay, obviously, and we've got the ocean as we go through. But there are such a population center that really may not have, although they're not far from the bay. You look at Montgomery County, you look at Howard County, you look at all these, Frederick and Cecil, I guess, Allegheny and whatnot. They just don't have the opportunity to get down there. And then when they can, it's just something fantastic.
Right. Although for us, when I say Chesapeake, to me it means the whole watershed. And so, the whole...
And that's like half of America.
Right. It's 6 states and Washington, D.C. So for me, like a stream in Montgomery County is as much the part of the Chesapeake Bay as the South River or the West River or the Wye River. I feel very lucky personally to be here so that I can see, kind of the open water and the main stem of the bay. But, the streams and the forests and the parks out in Western Maryland and Central Maryland, Montgomery, Prince George's are incredibly important and beautiful. And, kids out there can go down to their stream and catch frogs, right?
Right.
So it's important for everybody to get outdoors.
It all works out, that's for sure. The original Bay Plate, and I know that they predate you, I believe, here.
Yes.
And they probably predate everybody here that's in there. Now, I mean, was this always designed as a fundraiser or as a method of helping to fund the Chesapeake Bay Trust?
It was. The first Bay Plate came into existence in 1990, and it was created by the legislature. The trust was actually created by the legislature as well a couple years before that as a way to get resources to community groups on the ground. So state agencies are wonderful. They do a lot of incredible high-level work, but the legislature at the time decided they needed an organization that could fund the Boy Scout groups and the homeowners associations and faith-based groups.
Okay,
So,
and you say Boy Scout troops and homeowners association. This may be a boy that's working on his Eagle Scout badge
sure.
that wants
and
to
Girl
do.
Scouts too, obviously incredibly important.
That's true. Although they're allowing Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts
that's
now.
Great. Yeah.
So I guess just Scouts.
It's going to be Scouts. Yeah.
But you said homeowners association. So if there's a waterfront community or maybe one somewhere in the watershed that's looking to clean up or do some sort of a project that's able to. I mean, maybe it's in landlocked Silver Spring.
Absolutely.
That wants to do an impervious parking lot.
Absolutely. It's exactly the kind of thing that these Bay Plate dollars go towards. So homeowners associations tend to fund garden projects, tree planting projects. Rain barrel workshops are a big seller among homeowners associations.
Which is a win-win because, I mean, we're doing something for the health of the environment, and typically they're beautification projects within their own communities.
Absolutely. A lot of living shorelines, too, around this neck of the woods. A lot of homeowners associations have waterfront property that's, community property, and so they don't want it to erode away. And so living shorelines are a great way to protect against erosion.
What's a living shoreline? Show my ignorance here.
So a living shoreline is using natural habitat, like usually marsh around this neck of the woods, to protect shorelines from erosion instead of using a bulkhead or a seawall or a riprap stone revetment. Very often a little bit of stone is used to protect the very edge of the marsh, but then plants are filled in behind it. And we've done actually some of the sampling ourselves, and it really increases fish and crab and other macrofaunal abundance. So it's kind of cool. So communities who like to fish, it's a huge benefit for fishing communities.
Right. Well, the bay is getting healthier too. Which is just fantastic news.
Yep.
I had the opportunity this past summer to jump out on Watermark brought us out to the oyster planting where they put all the spat in on a miserable rainy day, but that describes like pretty much any day this year. any day this year. And it's good to see that the efforts of organizations like you and certainly the people that you give grants to are really making a difference to the Bay. Your grants, they vary from very little, tiny, okay, here's your $100, go do it.
Right.
And that may be an exaggeration.
No, it's not. We fund $100 projects.
To the, I know I see, multi-million-dollar projects depending on where.
The Bay Plate is the backbone of our dollars, along with a tax checkoff, which folks will start seeing soon on their tax forms. The Chesapeake and Endangered Species Fund. So those two sources are really our backbone. And so we use these dollars to leverage funds from federal agencies, state agencies, local governments who want to engage their community groups. I think. The trust has been around for about 30 years, and we have shown the importance and the power of engaging small, local, nonprofit groups, whether it's homeowners associations, churches, synagogues, mosques, etc. And I think that local governments and state-level governments are seeing how important it is to engage people at that local level. We talk about it all the time, in so many different ways, people getting their news differently, etc. So those groups look at the trust and say, you guys know how to do this. You can get money to groups on the ground. You can make a $100 grant, and so they put their money in with the Bay Plate and the tax checkoff dollars.
Okay.
And we actually have a new exciting revenue stream. It's a partnership with DNR. Next time you renew your boating registration or get a fishing or hunting license, there will be a little option on the bottom that says Maryland Outdoor Recreation and Clean Water Fund. And so you can do an optional donation to that line, and it goes to the same place.
Well, that's exciting. Now, when does that go into effect?
It went into effect October 1st, so it happened about the same time as the new Bay plate.
Okay.
And we're seeing great response. So, these registration fees for fishing and hunting licenses and boating registration haven't changed in decades. And so, for example, it only costs $24 every 2 years to register your boat, no matter how fancy a boat you have.
Okay.
So $24 is pretty reasonable. So we think there's room there. And people who, we don't want to increase fees, right? But people who want to give more can give more through that mechanism.
Sure. I love the little campaign that you've got with the plate envy, and I think I'm looking at a brochure here, and it's got a Pennsylvania plate and a Virginia plate, and I think it's Delaware plate. Is that
yes.
our neighboring things, and they're all just real sort of boring monocolor ones, and then the beautiful Chesapeake Bay plate. Tina said that it was through focus groups, and we sent out some concepts and went through a bunch of different things. Did you guys put out any kind of guidance as to the people that were looking to bid or to compete in this?
The only guidance we gave them was things that were required by the MVA and the state police. So, for example, the letters had to be the same size, and we wanted to say Maryland somewhere, and there needed to be contrast between the background and the letters so that it's readable. But other than that, we said it was wide open. We didn't even require that it have a Chesapeake theme. We just wanted to see what people really wanted to see on a license plate. We didn't specify, and we tested. I don't know if Tina gave you the whole background, but we tested about 250 designs over the course of this year-long project. We started with 19 designers who responded to an open call. They gave us a few initial ideas. We then chose 4 designers to go through the first phase of a public opinion poll, and there were designs that were all over the color spectrum, all different icons, a lighthouse, a fruit basket, whatever. It could have been anything on there. And then we did some public opinion polling and focus groups. And again, we didn't kind of drive it towards a blue theme or a bay theme, an open bay theme. There were lots of examples that had flowers on them, for example. And so the focus groups kept repeatedly coming up back to this whole Chesapeake theme. And what we learned from those focus groups is that people, no matter where they live in Maryland, Garrett County, Washington County, wherever, they love the Chesapeake Bay. It's part of Maryland's culture and history and pride, and so they wanted to celebrate it.
It is exactly. It is a source of pride to what we have. I mean, we're the largest inland bay, but inland estuary in the country. I think second in the world, right? I think Bay of Bengal is if I remember my daughter's like 5th grade science project or something like that, is the largest in the world. But and it is so important, and it's not just important to certainly it's very important to us right here because we're immediately in the area in Maryland, but.
It's important I was shocked that people all over the state find it really important. And to them, while they may not live right next door and see it every day the way people in Anne Arundel County do, to them it's connected with vacation or family or, a weekend trip. And so they're proud of it as part of our heritage as folks who live right next to the main stem.
You'd mentioned the tax box, and we're getting close to tax season, unfortunately. At the end of the year, you got to look at the
start thinking about it.
But that's another easy way for somebody to help support the Bay Trust.
Yes, and it is, of course, tax deductible. So it's a line you'll see. Most of us don't fill out taxes paper-wise the old way.
Right.
But whether you do it through an accountant or you do it through an online program, there'll be a little option that says, would you like to donate to the Chesapeake and Endangered Species Fund? And those dollars are split between DNR's Endangered Species, Threatened Species work and the Chesapeake Bay Trust K-12 and on-the-ground restoration and other programs. And
is that a set amount, or can you designate whatever amount?
You can donate any amount that you wish. And honestly, people, we say this all the time, every dollar matters. We take every dollar seriously. We know it's everyone's hard-earned money, but even donating $5 makes a difference.
Well, one thing that I like about the Bay Trust as opposed to, some of the other organizations, and I don't want to say larger because you guys are not real small, but you guys operate pretty much on a shoestring.
We do.
I mean, the money comes in. We feed the staff, and then it goes right out the door again.
Right, 92 cents of every dollar goes to programs here.
And I don't want to pick on like the American Cancer Society or something like that, but you look at organizations that have such overhead, and everything goes to operating and maintaining and whatnot. And yes, they do wonderful work, and they'll be able to put some money into cancer research and so on and so forth. But the bulk of the money is sort of held within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that you've got to keep some to operate, and in case if all of a sudden somebody says, okay, well, the Bay Plate is no longer, you've got to find something to figure out how to make up that revenue. But that's the beauty that I think of the Chesapeake Bay Trust, is that it really does filter in through this office, and then it goes right out. It goes to the Boy Scout troop that's looking to do that, or the Homeowners Association, or
and the Girl Scouts,
a county or a city that's looking to work in the watershed.
Right. We know that every $20 that we don't spend on our programs is one kid that can't go on a field trip. So we really do talk about that almost every day, and people maybe hear.
Is that your sort of mantra that you?
Yeah, I mean, every dollar we spend here is a dollar that can't go to a grantee to get a great project done. So we recognize that, and sometimes it's really hard decisions to make. It's trade-offs, but we try to operate as leanly as possible so that as many dollars can go out the door in grants.
Mm-hmm. Where can we get the Bay Plate?
You can get the Bay Plate a number of different ways. I always say from your pajamas on your couch. You can go online to the MVA website. Just Google Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration.
Right.
It's mva.maryland.gov for those who can remember that. And you can just follow the instructions, search for Bay Plate. You can also go to bayplate.org, and it will send you right to that spot at MVA for you to sign up. Next time you're buying a car, it is car buying season. So if you happen to be shopping for a car right now, make sure to ask at the dealership. We have a lot of wonderful dealership partners, a lot of dealers for the Bay. So if you want to find a dealer for the Bay on our website, you can go online. We have a list of dealers who have committed to promoting the Bay Plate. But
when you're buying a new car, okay, you're dropping $20,000 on a car.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I think it's probably sort of on the low end anymore today, but maybe 15. An extra $20 is really not significant for the value of what it does. I mean, if it takes a kid out of Frederick and brings them down here to the Annapolis Maritime Museum and be able to get out on a skipjack or whatever it may be, would be just phenomenal. So,
I think it's a win-win. It looks better on your car. It only costs $20, and there's a Plate Perks program where local businesses.
What is that?
Yeah, so local businesses offer either preferred parking or discounts. So my favorite restaurant, for example, is part of the Plate Perks program, and so I make my $20 back. It's sort of like a AAA card. You end up getting paid to have the Bay Plate, so there's really no reason not to have a Bay Plate. It looks better on your car. You can get discounts that make up the $20 cost in a couple of months, depending on how often you use these businesses. And if you go to plateperks.org or cbtrust.org/perks, you can get a list of all of the local businesses that offer discounts. And it's like, paddle boarding and fishing tackle shops and restaurants and online artists. So it's lots of different types of stuff that offer discounts.
For $20, we can help the Bay by sending a kid on a field trip. We can earn that money back in discounts or upfront better parking, so save our steps or something like that.
Yeah. You can make your car look nicer. We call it accessorizing your car.
Yeah.
Car bling, car jewelry.
It's one of the most...
And you can do it from your pajamas, but just by ordering the Bay Plate from your home.
Easy enough. When's the next Bay Plate coming out? Any idea when?
I hope not for a long time.
Yeah.
We love this one, and we use such a collaborative process with Marylanders to design this. It's hard to imagine anything better.
Wonderful to hear about the process. We talked a little bit before we started about the license plates are actually produced in the Jessup, the State Correctional Facility in Jessup.
They are.
And the guys that do this are just, they take such pride in their work, and they are making these. I know Tina was amazed that they're individually, if you've got the letters, they're putting the letters to punch into the metal.
I know. How often do we think about that? These guys work so hard. It's a program called Maryland Correctional Enterprises, and it's a great jobs training program for folks that are rehabilitating, and every single letter on your license plate, no matter what plate you have, is punched by hand by a human being. So think about that next time you look at your plate. Somebody with care actually changed those letters and numbers out and punched your plate by hand.
Yes. The one thing I like about this plate, though, is different from the other one, is the full color.
Yeah.
And the other one was...
I want to say it was 4-color.
2, 3, 4, something like that. I mean, it was primarily blue, white, and
there's a green
and some
marsh
green.
Grass. It was beautiful. We loved our old plate with the heron, and the artist who did that is a local artist here, Joe Barson.
Right.
He's incredible. That plate served the trust and so many grantees. I mean, hundreds of thousands of kids got out on the bay or near the bay through that
because
plate.
of that.
Yeah, so we have a soft spot in our hearts for our heron plate, and you can, if you have a heron plate and you want to keep it, you can keep it. You can transfer it. Next time you buy a new car, tell your dealer you want to keep your old heron plate. So
right, and I remember back with those. Now it had the heron, and what else did it? Did it have a crab on it too?
It had a little crab on the bottom right hand side.
Okay,
it often got covered by the frame.
Okay, and you had contests to name the crab
we
and
did.
The heron.
Yes.
It was Claude the crab, I think.
Claudia. Yep, and Wade was the heron.
Wade was the heron, and we've got a blue crab on this plate. Do we have a contest in the?
That's a great idea. We haven't thought about it, but we certainly can.
It's Claudia's cousin.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Her older cousin there.
We've been debating whether this crab on the new plate is male or female. She or he.
You got to flip it over.
Right.
So you got the capital of the Washington Monument.
Right. So the claw color is maybe a little bit confusing. It's got characters of both male and female. So we'll have to see what names come in. We definitely heard loud and clear from Marylanders they want a crab on their license plate. Not a question. And the thing we heard over and over again in focus groups is people want, when they're driving in another state, and they kept picking Colorado. How often do people drive in Colorado? I don't know, maybe a lot. But when you're driving around in Colorado, you want people behind you to know this person is from Maryland and they have Maryland pride. And they definitely wanted the crab on there.
I'll say there's certain icons in Maryland, the blue crab being one of them, the flag being another one. I mean, you look at Route 1 Apparel and all of these different design companies where it's... even our own logo here has this, it's the Maryland flag vomit all over the place. and there is a sense of pride when you go back to do that. And I think that, you certainly look at the crab cake, which is Maryland's signature food. You look at, Philadelphia, it has the cheesesteak. And you look at New Orleans, it has the beignet, along with a million of other things. Chicago with their pizza and some of the places with the barbecue and whatnot. And you want to keep that. There is a sense of pride because nobody does a crab cake better than Maryland
Absolutely
does.
Not. I keep trying in other places, and it comes, and I say that's not a crab cake.
I'm a little bit of a snob. I'm from outside of Philadelphia, and I go someplace in Kansas City. Oh, authentic Philly cheesesteak. Get out of here!
Yeah,
no, you don't.
Yeah.
It's a wannabe, and and there's plenty of opportunities actually to buy some great crab cakes here because everybody now is sort of shipping them. I know Chicken Ruth's has an outstanding crab cake.
I love their crab cake.
And Boatyard also has, and I know Dick Franio was saying that they ship, I think he said 125,000 crab cakes last year.
They ship them. Wow.
And they're sort of, I guess, flash frozen and in dry ice. And I do encourage everybody to support the Bay Trust, whether you're writing a check directly to them, which is obviously something that you can accept as well.
All welcome.
But you want to definitely check out their website, which is any number of them. You've got Bayplate Me.
Yes, bayplateme.com. And our main website is cbtrust.org. And you can learn all about our grants and the Bayplate there as well.
And the people that are behind it there, you can order the Bayplate right from cbtrust.org.
Yes.
MBA, all the tag and title places that you go. So, there's really no reason to not be able to get it.
We are trying to make it easy, and all suggestions are welcome.
You deliver?
I wish. Unfortunately, they do have to come out of MVA. But quite frankly, MVA does deliver. They get mailed right to your house.
They will mail.
You never have to set foot in an MVA facility. You can just order it right from your couch. It gets mailed to your home.
And that could be a bonus. Actually, I will say the MVA's really gotten their act together over the last couple of years.
They've done great.
When I got my Bayplate again, 15 minutes, and I was, I had to wait a little bit in line to do it. And they were like, okay, here you go. And it was real easy to do it. The MBA, bravo to the MBA for getting their act together. And Bayplate, get one. Definitely check it out. They're sharp looking. They probably make a good Christmas present, too.
Yeah?
I don't know that you're going to get it before Christmas unless you... you might.
Maybe a little tight.
You might. You have to go. But
you
be
can
a good
take
after
a picture,
Christmas present.
print out a picture of the license plate and give that in an envelope and say, this is your gift. It's coming.
How many did you guys produce initially?
I think the first run was 24,000.
Oh, wow.
And they're actually running out of them. So they're about to... I think they're in the middle of doing a second printing,
Can you do custom plates with these?
Yes.
I see this one has, the sample you have says ask for me.
Yeah, you can do that. It's the same additional cost as a normal personalized plate.
Okay.
And I want to say it's $50, but I could be wrong about that.
Okay. Get your Bay plate. Jana Davis from the Chesapeake Bay Trust. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done. 2 interviews mashed up together. You were a busy boy.
Yeah. Well, actually, they were about a week and a half apart. So.
Oh, you just tore down the fourth wall.
Yeah.
I want people to believe that you're packing up your equipment and sprinting to the next place.
It's called transparency. It's a precursor to my run for mayor or county executive.
I'm not a big believer in it. You're not running. There's no way. I'll whip out some of the texts that you send to me, and you're not getting elected. That shit.
You'll see to it.
No, it's not happening.
Scott McMullen asked me whether I was running for something. I said no. I said whether I was running for mayor. I said absolutely not. And I said if I run for anything, it'll be governor because I want the house. I think they should throw some housing in it.
I would, if I were running for anything, I swear to God, they would just, like oppositional research, they would just call me and say, hey, we have your internet browsing history, and I'd be done. I'd be like, I quit. I'm not doing this.
Yeah, no, if I run for anything, it's going to be like Delaware or maybe Virginia.
Delaware. That's like intramural at that point.
Like the border, somewhere near the border.
Delaware has like 2 counties, right?
But yeah, no, I thought it was very interesting with the plate and everything else and how it came about. I thought, Chesapeake Bay Trust, I learned that they're moving. Mm-hmm. They're moving over to, I guess, Severn and like 1st and a Half Street in an old sail loft there. And their office was all torn up and, they're getting ready to move within a couple weeks. So
that's a really young crew over there. I went over there and I felt just super old.
It is. And Eastport's much better for them, I think. I mean, if you remember their office, it's in the 4th floor of that brick office building that's kind of ugly on West Street, and it doesn't really scream Chesapeake Bay Trust. I mean,
no.
Certainly the Chesapeake Bay Foundation screams Chesapeake Bay Foundation where it is.
They should have their office on a houseboat.
They should. The Harbor Queen.
No, there was a houseboat in our neighborhood once. It was like a houseboat from the 1940s. It was really, really cool. And this woman, she lived in a house with 2 sons and her husband. And it was the end of their pier. And she turned into like a she shed sort of houseboat. And she would hang out there because she didn't want to be near all the males in her house. And it was really cool.
I kind of remember that when Ellen Moyer was mayor, that there was some legislation passed that houseboats were not allowed in Annapolis waters for some reason.
I don't know, probably because they're too tacky for Ward 1.
Yes, we can't have that. No. But yeah, Chesapeake Bay Trust, make sure you're checking off and donating to the Bay Trust for your taxes if you can. Put any amount there.
Yeah, and but I'm do $20.
And the Bay plate is $20, $10 on renewal, and that's nothing when you're buying a new car. Make sure you ask for it. You can do it. You can just order it right now and have it delivered to your house.
They still do the farm one?
Yeah, they do have the ag one.
The farm one's stupid. Let's all admit that.
Those are the 2 ones. Those are the ag and the Chesapeake Bay Trust. Then all of a sudden,
no one wants the ag one. I don't think anyone's ever gotten it.
All the different vanity ones that they've got, like the the Firefighters Union and the Eastern Shore people and everything else. So, but support them because these guys are really good. I mean, they take the money in, they take a little tiny bit to keep themselves fed, and then they pass it all out.
There's all sorts of grants. I mean, if you got a neighborhood association, you want to start a garden or something like that, you fill out a grant, you'll get the money for it.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a school and you want to do something like that, but they have tons of grants. It's just filling out the proper paperwork, and there it is.
And like she said, I mean, it's a $100 grant or $10 million grant. Yeah. I mean, they really run the whole gamut, and it really turns around and goes right, filters in one side and out the other. Christmas is coming up.
I'm not ready.
Me neither.
Kathy does most, and by most I mean all the shopping for the kids, because she starts like in the summer, and so she's done by October. She's like, here's everything I had bought, and I would have helped, but so I just have to buy for her and my father, and I'm just not, I haven't started yet, and here we are. We're recording this on Tuesday, so
right. Yeah, I've got a little bit more to get. I went with for my family, I went with practical gifts that not practical
spatulas. Spatulas.
Yeah.
Go to Spatula City.
No, I mean gifts that they would appreciate but wouldn't buy on their own.
Spatulas.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh yeah, I can live without it, but I would really like it.
Like what?
My son got him tinting for his car.
Oh, that's kind of cool though. I want to do that for my car.
Okay, so that's something that he was not. He can't justify spending the money on his own right now. He says, I can spend my money on other things. So it's something he's going to appreciate.
Yeah, I'd like that.
So it's that. So that's sort of my thoughts as I'm going through my gift giving. I do have a couple more to get before Christmas Eve. So There's still plenty of time.
You're like, what, 4 blocks away from 7-Eleven, so you're good.
Yeah, it's true. Make sure you're checking out some of our crab cakes. We've been doing a bunch of them.
Yep. So I just did one with Soren Baker. He's the author of The History of Gangster Rap. He is living in L.A. right now, and he's been there for a while, but he's from Gambrels originally. And he's a rap journalist, sports journalist as well. I mean, he's written for Cream Magazine, for L.A. Times, a bunch of other newspapers and periodicals, and he's done, I think, over 3,500 articles, and he released this History of Gangster Rap back in October, and he's doing the tour right now, and I Googled him to figure out what it was all about, and it's like him with Ice Cube, and him with Ice-T, and with Snoop Dogg, and he's got all their numbers in his phone, and I've actually, since I interviewed him, I actually read it. It's a great book. It's really interesting. It's kind of, I came of age during when I was in college. That's when it all kind of blew up, and being a geeky white kid from the suburbs, of course, I was drawn to it, but it was a great interview. He was a good guy. Local boy made good. So it's History of Gangster Rap. So if you don't buy the album, which a lot of you won't, but check out the interview. It was an interesting interview nonetheless.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, and I've talked to a couple of people that have showed up at Ram's Head. Lissy, who's actually sort of my musician crush. I mean, I think she's like so cool. She said like, screw you, or well, actually the album dropped her, or the label dropped her, and she's like moved to a farm in Iowa, and she's doing really well, and real good sort of Stevie Nicks, Cleveland Mackey kind of sultry thing, and Stephen Kellogg, who I had a real fascinating time. I talked to him actually on his birthday, and he's coming in Ram's Head, I think, on December 28th. So that'll be after this. So get a ticket. That'll be a good show as well.
We got some more coming. We have some more scheduled. I think we're both we got some crab cakes scheduled to be coming up here. So
you talked to Paula Poundstone. I mean, she's already gone to the Ram's Head.
Yeah.
I was very, very proud of you. You actually told the listeners that were listening to it who you were talking to this time.
I worked her name in there. I just thought it was a little important to do that this time. But she was fun. I mean, it's whenever I talk to her, and I talked to Rita Rutner over the summer, and these are all people who are like legends. I mean, I was in high school watching them, so it's really weird when I'm talking to them on the phone. I'm like, I have their number.
That's
actually,
funny.
Paula Poundstone's, she's the only one who is called from a blocked number, so she's the only smart one out of all of them so far. Everyone else, I have my number.
Lissy was smart as well. They said, oh no, we don't want you calling, and nor do we want to call you.
Yeah, that's smart.
So here's the toll-free conference call number.
That's the way I would do it if I were dealing with us.
But I've got a couple phone numbers that are.
You want to call Rita Rutner at 3 a.m? We can do it.
That'd be a great podcast, wouldn't it?
Yeah, although it'd only be like midnight her time, so it wouldn't be that bad.
No, that'd be great. We should do that. We should look to see the numbers that we've collected.
Yeah,
and just ring. Hey, remember us?
Actually, that's actually a pretty good idea. The Drunk Anonymous Phone Call Podcast.
Remember that time you were on that little unknown, no-name podcast?
Yeah, in Maryland. Who are you guys again? The Maryland what's?
That's funny, but I was with Paula Poundstone. I was totally impressed because I remember listening to it was John Reap.
Yeah,
and I'm listening to it. It was a great interview. You'll go back and listen to it, but before you go listen to it, just remember that he's talking to John Reap because you didn't tell anybody.
Well, his name's in the title. Tim talks with John Reap, so I just assume people would think.
Nobody reads those things. They push play and put it in your headphones.
I would assume that the title's going to be a little bit of a hint.
Anyhow, well, if you've got any hints or any ideas for us, please give them to us. Anybody may want to come on to the podcast as a guest, or if you've got an idea for somebody that we should hunt down.
Because we're planning out the year. By planning out the year, I mean we're not. So we need suggestions.
They're winging it. But you can do that. You can get in touch with us by email at info@themarylandcrabs.com, or you can go to Facebook, right?
Yeah, we have a group and we have a page.
Right. You can go to Twitter. Well, everybody can but you.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. MD Crabs Podcast.
Right. And we've got this new fancy call text back line, which actually I share with my daily news brief. I did get one for my daily news brief. You can call and leave a message. We don't answer it. So you can leave a message, be anonymous if you want, or send a text message.
Yeah.
And we'll include that there. But if you've got ideas, get onto iTunes and rate us, because that helps us too. That helps us move up in the charts and all of that kind of stuff, and gets us more and more exposure. And the other thing is, if you enjoy these things, recommend us to your friends. It's Christmas time. Give them the gift of the Maryland Crabs.
Oh, yeah. That's a gift that keeps on giving.
How was that? Was that good?
Yeah.
Give them the gift of the Maryland Crabs.
Yeah.
Here they thought they were getting something to eat.
Get them a subscription, which costs nothing.
But that's that. Have a wonderful Christmas. Have a wonderful holiday. We will be back after Christmas, so 25th, 27th. Mm-hmm. I guess that would make sense. And we have no idea what we're going to be talking about.
No. Maybe we'll talk about what we got for Christmas.
Hey, your dad's coming into town. Why don't we talk to him? Have Dad on the podcast.
That would be interesting. We could work some stuff out on air. I'm kidding. You just looked at me. No.
All right, well, there you go.
Merry Christmas.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them at all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.